So Microsoft Azure, Amazon AWS and Google GCP all offering literally hundreds of services. Choosing the right one can be really tough. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So in this video, I'm going to break down around 30 services in the categories like compute, databases, storage, AI, networking, DevOps, monitoring, content delivery, security and much more. I will actually give you real world use cases to help you understand how can these services can really transform your business, your projects and your applications. And by the end of the video, you will have all the knowledge to make an informed decision which service to use from which cloud provider for your next big idea. So let's begin this video with a very important category, and that is compute services. So first of all, let me give you a brief description of the compute services. So compute services, my friends, like the virtual machine, and the first service that I would like to compare between all the cloud providers is the virtual machines. What are virtual machines? Well, virtual machines are on demand configurable CPUs and the RAM and the storage. And what is the service from the Azure side? Well, in the Azure, we have Azure Virtual Machines. In the AWS, we have EC2, which is Elastic Compute Cloud. And then we have GCP, and here we have Google Compute Engine. And what are the use cases? Remember, use cases, my friends, are super important. So please listen to the use cases very carefully, because the use cases, they really help you actually understand how the service works. And all these use cases, my friends, most of them I have taken from my own projects. So in case you have some questions around all these services on how to use them for each of the category, please do not shy away to ask in the comment section. So let me start what are the use cases for the virtual machine. And here I would like to start with a very important use case, and that is running the custom application on the virtual machines and on the web servers. Secondly, hosting web servers, running databases and deploying application. Then on the third number, we have in case you really want to try the new operating system or the beta releases of the applications or the software, virtual machine are your best choice. And not just that, the number 4 use cases that in case you really want to spin a new environment to make a simple or a quick platform or the play area for the developers or to run testing, then virtual machine, very good choice. Then we have in case you really want to take some backup of your existing applications, and also you can use the virtual machine for taking the backups of the existing operating system. And then at number 6, the use case could be assessing the virus infected data or running the old application by running the old operating system. Sometimes there is a need in businesses to run some old applications on the older operating models or operating system. In these cases, virtual machines are a best bet. And are these 6 use cases the exhaustive list? No, of course there are multiple other use cases for the virtual machine. And what is your use case, by the way? Let me know in the comment section. So let me move to one more very important service under the compute category only, and that is functions, or you can also say the serverless. Very important services. Loads of people are using serverless, going serverless these days. I'm sure you must be hearing what is serverless, why do we use it? Let's talk about that. And friends, you can download the free Excel file. The link is given in the description box with all the service comparison that we are doing today. And here I just request you all to please like the video and please put one comment at least. It really boosts our video and really help us expand. So please appreciate our efforts. One comment and one like. So let me first give you the brief description here. So serverless compute, my friends, it really is for the event-driven applications with the auto scaling and high availability. And it really helps you to run the event-driven functions without managing the infrastructure. In simple words, it is the serverless compute service for running code in response to some events. And these events could be multiple. It could be API calls, file uploads, maybe processing some data streams. So it could be many more things. Maybe it could be HTTP as well. Then why do we use this serverless? Well, these are very cost efficient because they follow a pay-as-you-go model, and this pay-as-you-go model, it really allows the organization to only pay for the compute time they are using or the application is using. And then of course we have to talk about the scalability these serverless applications offers, and all these serverless offerings, they really automatically scale to handle the varying workloads, ensuring that your application It remains responsive and performs well even in the heavy traffic. And what about the flexibility? Well, of course, developers can actually use programming language of their own choice. They could be using Python, Node.js, Java, and many more to write these serverless applications. So let's see what are the services offered in all these cloud providers. In Azure, we have Azure Functions, one of my favorite service. In AWS, we have the counterpart as AWS Lambda. And in the Google GCP world, we have Google Cloud Functions. And what are the use cases? The top one in my list is real-time data processing. And then at number 2, we have file and data transformation. Number 3 is API backend. Number 4 is for the reminders and the notifications. Number 5, we have scheduled tasks and messages. And then at number 6, we have running background backup tasks. And yes, my friends, once more, I'm telling you, many of these use cases are from my own applications that I'm working on. So I would really love to talk about these in case you need more information. Now, the third very important service I want to talk about under this compute category only is the Kubernetes service. Now, what is Kubernetes service? Well, Kubernetes is a service that helps you deploy and scale the containerized application. I'm sure that you must have heard about Dockers, containers. So Kubernetes is a way to orchestrate all these Docker containers. So from the Azure, we have Azure Kubernetes Services, which is AKS. And then from the AWS side, we have Amazon EKS. And from the Google side, we have Google Kubernetes Engine or Google GKE. And yes, please do not miss to watch this video here. Here I have taken 11 parameters to compare Microsoft Azure, Amazon AWS and Google GCP. And this video will really help you understand which cloud provider is most suitable for you to choose as the career option. And I have also told in this video which cloud provider I am using for my projects and the reason behind the same. This will really help you understand how to choose a cloud provider. So that's why this is a must-watch video for anyone who's starting to build the cloud career. Use cases wise, if you talk about, then at the number 1, I would say the best use case for the Kubernetes service would be the migration of existing application. So you can really easily migrate your monolithic applications to the containerized application and run them with the Kubernetes services. I have talked about these monolithic application in my previous videos as well, my friends. Really important concept to understand why the world is moving away from the monolithic application towards the containers, Dockers, Kubernetes. Good to understand for you in case you're looking forward for a cloud career. Then at number 2, I would like to talk about like simplifying the configuration and the management of the microservices based application. And you can simplify the development and the management of the microservices based application and also streamline the load balancing, the horizontal scaling, the self-healing part and the secret management with the Kubernetes services. And the third use case I want to talk about is bringing the DevOps and the Kubernetes together. So here Kubernetes services are also a reliable resource to bring the Kubernetes and DevOps together for securing the DevOps implementation with Kubernetes. So those are top 3 services under the compute category. First one, we have virtual machines. Then we talked about the functions or the serverless. Then lastly, at the number 3, we talked about the Kubernetes services. And now from here, let's talk about the database service. No application is complete without the database services. So here I would give you multiple types of databases because that's very understand. We are now in the world where relational databases, yes, of course, they are important, but the world is moving very fast. So it's really important for you to understand what are the other types of databases. Of course, let's start with the relational databases, very easy to understand. So the relational databases, my friends, they are really easy to manage. Of course, relational databases, and they are actually optimized and they are very simple to set up. They are easy to operate and scale with the demand. And the relational databases, they really provide a good interface or the consistent interface between the application users and the database itself. And the organizations of all these RDBMS for managing the large amount of business critical information is really wonderful. So what are the services offered? From the Azure side, we have Azure SQL Database. From Amazon side, we have Amazon RDS. Then we have from the Google side, we have Google SQL. Use case, let's look at the use case. In case you really want to run the SQL based application or the relational application where you have a business use case, let me give you an example like the employee master or employee database. So you maintain the names, records of the employees in one table, then you have other records in other tables. So you have primary keys, you have foreign keys, you have candidate keys. So that is why, so you have a relation with one table to other tables. That's why it is called the relational databases. The second use case could be hosting MySQL, PostgreSQL. Then you have Azure SQL databases. So that is the second use case for the relational databases. And the third and the most prominent use case for the relational databases is in case you are storing structured data for your application which really require the ACID properties. So relational databases, my friends, offer ACID properties which actually means atomicity, consistency, isolation and durability. What does that even mean? Well, in case let's say that you have a banking application and if a transaction fails, so either it fails completely or it is executed fully so that you have a consistent financial transaction all throughout your records. So that is why relational databases are quite important still. And of course, these offer built-in security. So there is a role-based security to ensure data access to the limited number of users. But what about the other types of databases? Well, the most prominent one could be the NoSQL, which are actually the globally distributed databases with multiple consistency model. And these databases have very high throughput, low latency for the applications, and NoSQL databases are preferred when you have large quantities and varieties of the data, so there is no structure in the data. So that is the area where you would like to use the NoSQL databases. Other cases could be when scalability is very important for you, continuous availability is the priority, and for real-time analytics, NoSQL databases can do wonders. And from the Azure side, we have Azure Cosmos DB, which is a globally distributed multi-model database service. From the Amazon side, we have Amazon DynamoDB, which is again is a managed NoSQL database service. And from the Google side, we have Google Firestore, which is a NoSQL document database built for its automatic scaling. And what are the use cases? Let me go through very quickly. So first of all, we have e-commerce application. NoSQL databases are really helping the e-commerce companies to manage the large volumes of data, including the product catalogs, the customer profiles, the transaction histories. And NoSQL databases are also capable to handle high traffic volumes, making really excellent choices for the e-commerce companies. Then the second use case for the NoSQL could be big data. So NoSQL databases are really good options for the organizations with the data workloads directed towards the rapid processing and analyzing of massive quantities of data, or unstructured data, should I say. Then the third use case could be social media. Yes, you heard it right. Social medias are oftenly using NoSQL databases. And why this so? Because social media, it really generates vast amount of unstructured data in forms of posts, comments, likes, shares, user profiles, and this data is highly variable. It is not structured, it is unpredictable, and making it difficult for the traditional relational databases that we talked about. Then NoSQL databases, my friends, is absolute darling for the IoT applications. So tons and billions of the IoT devices these days, it could be your mobile devices, smart vehicles, home applications, factory sensors, healthcare products or systems. All these devices are producing tons of data every day, every moment. And these data, of course, as I said, they are very diverse, semi-structured, and NoSQL databases are a perfect choice. And is that all for the databases? No, we have other categories of databases. So for example, we have managed Postgre relational databases services with automated backups and scaling. And these databases are high on performance and scalability. And from the Microsoft Azure side, we have Azure databases for PostgreSQL. From the Amazon side, we have Amazon Aurora. Then we have from the Google side, Google Spanner. Use cases for these kind of databases is, of course, running the Postgre database at scale with the high availability with automatic backups, and it provides web and mobile gaming. Second use case could be suitable for the software as a service or SaaS application. Third could be great for the enterprise applications. So these type of databases offer fully managed services. It really helps the user save the time by automatic, time consuming tasks or reducing the time consuming jobs such as provisioning, patching, backups, failure detection, and recovery and repair. So really good candidates in case this is the use case for you. There is one more service in database, and that is data warehousing. We just cannot close the database category without this one here. So database or the data warehousing, my friends, is actually for the large scale data analysis, reporting, and business intelligence. And from the Microsoft Azure side, we have Azure Synapse Analytics. From the AWS side, we have AWS Redshift, and the Google offers Google BigQuery. And what are the use cases for the same? Well, use cases, of course, first one is data warehousing. So in case you really want to have the databases which offer scalable, reliable data warehousing solution, then these are your choices. Machine learning integration can be another choice with business intelligence, and security and compliance. So these databases offer advanced security features such as encryption, data encryption, access control, and threat detection. So these are the top 4 categories or top 4 type of databases that we learned in the database category. The first one was the RDBMS or the relational one. Then we looked at the NoSQL one. Then we looked at the database options for the PostgreSQL, and last one was the data warehouse services. And now what next? Well, let's talk about the storage services, very exciting category. And here I want to start with the object storage type. So object storage type, my friends, it can really store and retrieve any amount of data at scale. From Azure, we have Azure Blob Storage. From Amazon, we have Amazon S3, and from the Google, we have Google Cloud Storage. Use cases for the same is first backing up or archiving your data related to your application and the virtual machine, and secondly, and a very important use cases is storing the unstructured files such as video files, images, audio files, very important categories in the world of social media. Then we have big data analytics. We have at number 4, we have caching and content delivery for the websites. And you can actually deliver a website using a static website though, using all these object storages. The fifth use case could be storing log file objects and telemetry data for monitoring, debugging, and analytics purposes. And what is the second most used storage service? That is the block level storage. And this one is used for the virtual machines and the related services. From the Azure, we have Azure Disk Storage. From the Amazon, we have Amazon EBS. And from the Google GCP, we have Persistent Disk. The use case is very simple, that you attach these block storage to a virtual machine for the operating system and for the data. Then we have a very important category under this storage service, and that is file-based storage. So file-based storage, my friends, it can you can really mount these services as a network drive. And from the Azure side, we have Azure Files, and from the Amazon, we have Amazon EFS. From the Google GCP, we have File Store. Use cases is that you can use these services, file-based services, for shared file storage for the collaboration across the geographically distributed or diverse area. Secondly, lift and shift to the cloud application that uses the native API and the SMBs. Then we have third one, replacing or supplementing on-premises file servers. Fourth is log and data aggregation for the central processing and analytics. And the fifth one is central configuration file management for multiple application instances. And the last one is file storage for the development and testing environments. So those were the top 3 services under the storage category. We talked about the object storage, we talked about the block level storage, and thirdly, we talked about the managed file storage. And now what is the next category? Very exciting one, and that is AI services. And the very first service that I want to talk about in AI zone is the cognitive services. So these are pre-built AI services for the vision, for the speech, for the language, decision making, and really image and video analytics services for the object detection, facial recognition, and many more use cases like that. And from the Azure side, we have Azure Cognitive Services, and from the AWS, we have AWS Recognition, and from the Google, we have Google Vision AI. Use cases, of course, very understandable, implementing facial recognition, language translation in the application. And then the second use case could be analyzing the images, the videos for, content moderation, maybe security, and the insights. And what is the next service? Well, here I want to talk about the machine learning zone. And of course, these are managed platforms for building and training and deploying machine learning models. And from the Azure side, we have Azure Machine Learning. From the Amazon side, we have Amazon SageMaker. And then from the Google side, we have GCP Vertex AI. Use cases are building and deploying ML or AI models for predictive analytics or image classification. Third one I want to talk about under this AI services is bot services. And yes, I'm sure that you know what are the bot services. Well, these are platforms for building the conversational bots that really interacts with the humans in a natural language. Still primitive, I would say, but they are growing at a really fast pace. And from the Azure side, we have Azure Bot Services. From the Amazon, we have Amazon Lex. And from the Google, we have Dialogflow. And what are the use cases? Of course, very understandably, to build and develop the chatbots for the customer services or the conversational agents. So until now, my friends, we have covered 13 services in the category compute services, database services, storage services, and AI services. And in the next video, I'm going to cover 15 more very important services under the category networking services, monitoring services, security services, content delivery, DevOps services, and messaging services. And yes, my friends, cloud landscape is constantly evolving, but with the right knowledge, you will be able to navigate with the confidence. And I hope in this video, you have gotten a solid foundation for the understanding of the top services in AWS, Azure, and GCP. And now go ahead and build something amazing using all these cloud services. And please do not forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel as more cloud content is coming up. And yes, there are multiple links given in the description box using which you can read a lot, you can enhance your knowledge. And that's all for today. I will see you in the next video. Till then, stay fit, keep learning, and thanks for watching.